Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today for our second part of our South Dakota FSA programming. We have Gail Gullickson here with us today to present on utilizing FSA loan programs and tools. This is an hour-long webinar. You all are welcome to ask questions in the Q&A box or the chat box, and I will make sure that Gail hears them so she can answer you in real time. We are recording the webinar today, and it will go up on our website for folks to watch at their leisure in the future. In the meantime, once again, go ahead and use the chat for any questions that you have, but welcome and thanks for joining us again. I'll go ahead and pass it to Gail.
All right, great. Thank you again, Dawn, and to your crew. Appreciate that introduction and just honored to be with you all again for part two. And I have over 30 years experience actually in FSA working with farmers and ranchers to secure financing for their operations and served as a senior farm loan officer until last October. So I really enjoy sharing about our loan opportunities. And in addition to being the South Dakota FSA State Outreach and Communications Coordinator, I'm also the USDA Beginning Farmer and Rancher State Coordinator, and I get to help beginning farmers get connected in South Dakota to USDA resources. And as we have a crop and livestock operation near Flanders, South Dakota, with our two sons who are beginning farmers, I know firsthand the challenges young producers face. I hope to provide some valuable insight into our FSA loan programs you can utilize to start or grow your operation. So here's what today's discussion will look like. After an introduction to the FSA farm loans and enhancements to the farm loan program, I'll share specific loan information on types and programs designed to help you start or expand your operation. We'll discuss some loan eligibility requirements and applying for farm loans. After that, we're going to touch on our farm storage facility loan program. And finally, we're going to go online and walk through some of FSA's online tools that are available at farmers.gov. And of course, there will be time for questions. But as Dawn did, and I encourage you to ask questions in the chat as we go, because Dawn will come off mute and she'll be able to ask those in case it's some about a specific topic that we're talking on. It's fine to ask those and ask your questions and put them in the chat as we go. So FSA offers direct and guaranteed loans to farmers and ranchers to promote, build, and sustain family farms for a thriving agriculture economy. Direct loans are made and serviced by FSA using funds from the federal government. FSA has a responsibility of providing credit counseling and supervision to its direct borrowers by helping applicants evaluate the adequacy of their real estate and facilities, machinery and equipment, financial and production management, and goals. The guaranteed loans are made and serviced by commercial lenders, such as banks, the Farm Credit System, credit unions, and other non-traditional lenders. FSA guarantees the lender's loan against loss up to 95%. FSA has a responsibility of approving all eligible loan guarantees and providing oversight of the lender's activities. The current guaranteed loan limit is $2.251 million, and this amount is adjusted annually each fiscal year based on inflation. Each of these types of loans have specific general eligibility requirements. So I encourage you to visit with your local FSA loan official for more details. And of course, we're going to go into more detail throughout the program today. And we're just going to focus on the direct loan program from FSA today. So as a farmer or rancher, whether you're just starting out or have many years of experience, there are times when you need to borrow money to start, expand, or sustain, or make changes to the business. From beginning farmers who have limited financial history to qualify for commercial credit, to those farmers and ranchers who have suffered financial setbacks from natural disasters, FSA offers a variety of loans to provide those additional resources farmers and ranchers need to establish and maintain profitable farming and ranching operations. FSA's direct loan programs assist family farmers and ranchers with temporary financial assistance to improve their potential to secure credit from commercial lenders. Let's talk about some enhancements to our loan programs. All customers can work with FSA to create a business plan that's designed to help you save for emergencies, retirement, education, and capital investments. And to ensure these savings needs are realized, FSA is offering applicants more flexible repayment terms, including smaller interest-only payments and longer loan terms that provide more time to pay. Collateral requirements for direct loans are reduced from requiring available security equal to 150% of the loan amount down to 125%. This will allow borrowers the ability to access capital from other lenders to accelerate the growth of their farm and ranch. FSA also removed the requirement that applicants pledge their primary residence as additional collateral for a new loan. Additionally, after establishing a history of on-time payments, FSA can release liens on collateral the borrower originally provided as additional security. And with the Distressed Borrower Set-Aside Program, financially distressed borrowers can defer one annual loan installment per existing loan at a reduced interest rate, providing a simpler and expedited option to resolve financial distress outside of FSA's existing loan servicing options. And it's similar to the Disaster Set-Aside Program, but a borrower does not have to be first affected by a declared natural disaster to qualify. So let's consider these questions. Do you want to buy a farm or ranch? Do you need to buy things like a tractor or a baler, livestock, irrigation pipes, or greenhouse for your farming or ranching operation? Maybe you already own or rent land but want to expand your business. Has your operation been impacted by a natural disaster? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you may want to apply for a loan from FSA. FSA has many farm loans available for eligible borrowers. Before you apply, you need to decide what type of loan you need. Farm ownership loans can be used to purchase or expand a farm or ranch. Operating loans are used to purchase things like equipment or livestock or pay annual operating expenses. FSA developed the microloan program to better serve the unique financial operating needs of small, beginning farmer, rancher, niche, and non-traditional farm operations. The microloan application process is simpler, requiring less paperwork to complete, consistent with a smaller loan amount. And requirements for managerial experience and loan security have been modified to accommodate veterans, smaller farm operations, and beginning farmers. Emergency loans help producers recover from natural disasters. And finally, youth loans are available to 4-H and FFA members to start or expand an income-producing ag-related project. You may need to apply for more than one type of loan at the same time if you need money for different purposes, and we'll go into the details for each loan type on the next few slides. Let's start with our direct farm ownership loans. Farm ownership loans help you purchase a farm or ranch, enlarge an existing farm or ranch, construct some new farm buildings, improve existing farm buildings and infrastructure, or pay closing costs. These loans have a repayment period of up to 40 years. There are specific eligibility requirements for direct farm ownership loans, though, so you'll want to visit with your local FSA loan official. Within the farm ownership program, we have other financing opportunities. Also known as a participation loan, joint financing allows FSA to provide more farmers and ranchers with access to capital. This financing can be used for any authorized farm ownership purpose, such as purchasing a farm or ranch or constructing new farm buildings. And then FSA lends up to 50% of the amount being financed. A commercial lender, a state program, or the seller of the farm or ranch being purchased provides the balance of the loan funds with or without an FSA guarantee. And the interest rate will be our direct farm ownership rate minus 2%. So it's a little bit lower for the special program, but not lower than 2.5%. FSA has another special farm ownership loan program, and it's the down payment program. The FSA down payment loan funds may be used to partially finance the purchase of a family farm by an eligible beginning farmer. So that's farming or ranching 10 years is who we consider beginning farmer, by a socially disadvantaged farmer, which would include American Indians, or a veteran farmer. The applicant must provide a minimum down payment, a cash down payment of 5% of the purchase price of the farm. FSA will loan up to 45% with some exceptions, and the balance will come from a lender or private party. FSA's loan term is going to be at that 20 years, and the interest rate for down payment loans will be our regular farm ownership rate minus 4%, but in no case is it going to go less than 1.5%. Down payment loans can be combined with that FSA joint financing loans. So our FSA farm operating loans help you pay those initial startup expenses, pay for annual operating expenses such as seed, feed, fuel, fertilizer, utility, labor, farmland rents, and to purchase livestock, machinery, or equipment. Operating loans have a repayment period from 1 to 7 years, depending on the loan purpose. So, for instance, especially expenses that you pay annually, like feed and vet bills each year, will be repaid in 1 year. If you're purchasing breeding stock, which I call like your factory, repayment can be up to 7 years. The maximum loan amount is 400,000, and this limitation is for outstanding principal at the time of closing. Borrowers may have more than one loan outstanding for operating loans as long as the total outstanding principal does not exceed that 400,000 maximum for operating loans. Then FSA developed the microloan program to better serve the unique financial needs of small beginning farmers and ranchers, niche operators, or non-traditional farm operations. The microloan application process, like I said earlier, is simpler, requires less paperwork. It's just consistent with a smaller loan amount. Requirements for managerial ability as well have been modified, and loan security for smaller and beginning farmers. So FSA does make operating loans to individual youth and their ages 10 to 20 to start and operate income producing projects of modest size in connection with their participation in 4-H clubs, FFA, tribal youth group, or similar ag organization. The maximum loan amount is 10,000, and this can be a combination of youth loans. And that is a picture of a youth loan producer in South Dakota who used his youth loan to purchase sheep.
Hey, Gail,
Yep.
one question. Can
Yeah.
you expand on the youth groups on the last loan? What are some examples of similar organizations there?
Yeah, typically what we will see is 4-H clubs, FFA, like I said, the tribal youth groups, as long as it's a similar agricultural youth organization that would have an advisor of some sort that would be willing to essentially sign off on the program, meaning they will offer guidance if needed. Along with FSA, parents also sign the application if they're under 18. And so that's what we want. What we will find most common participation is 4-H clubs or FFA members. They have advisors or they have 4-H leaders. But if there's any sort of other ag type youth organization that would have someone, because on the actual application, there's a youth loan application form, there is a spot where the advisor will essentially talk about, yes, this applicant is a member of our organization, and yes, I will support them in this project should they need any guidance. It's just another kind of adult mentor to be helping the youth. And then we ask them to sign on to the application with us because we're trying to do it through youth ag organizations like that and have a kind of an ag related income producing project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Okay, so emergency loans, when a tornado, flood, or drought strikes, or even a quarantine is imposed by the Secretary of Ag, or when other natural disasters occur, FSA's emergency loan program is there to help eligible farmers and ranchers rebuild and recover from that sustained loss. The emergency loan program is triggered when a natural disaster is designated by the Secretary of Agriculture or a natural disaster or emergency is declared by the president. And these loans help producers who suffer qualifying farm-related losses, and those can be production loss or physical loss, directly caused by the disaster in a county declared or designated as a primary disaster or quarantine area. Also, though, farmers located in counties that are contiguous, what we would call right next to the declared, designated, or quarantine area, may qualify for emergency loans as well. So
Gail,
let's summarize. Oh, question?
yep, just in the chat, what are the ages for the youth loans? And I thought I read 10 to 20, is that right?
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
correct. They must be at least 10 and not over 20. Correct.
Okay, I just answered it in the chat, so we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, a great place to get started. And as I tell about, I have my two beginning farmers. This was a really good place for our sons to get interested in their own projects They'd done sheep, goats, cattle, like in there, and being involved in 4-H and FFA and learning the process about borrowing money, keeping records and those. So I highly encourage this if there's youth out there that are interested in ag related type project to get started. And the amount was 5,000. This is one of those enhancements. It went up to 10,000. So great project, great place to get started. So we talked about emergency. So yeah, I want to do the summary here because when I put these dollar amounts on there and we talked about them, they are their own separate limitations. So the 600,000 for farm ownership loan is 600,000 for farm ownership loan. The 400,000 for operating loan is a separate 400,000. You can have multiple loans within that, but they each have their own limitation. So if you do 600,000 and you also have operating loans borrowed up to 400,000, you could have 1 million in direct loan debt with FSA, if that makes sense. They are totally separate. And the microloans are capped at that 50,000. Really good place to get started again, that good transition. Our son started in youth loans and then transitioned to beginning farmer loans with microloan. It's smaller limits, less paperwork, great place to get started and kind of increase and grow from what they had started with their youth loan project. And then the maximum amount for emergency loans is the 500,000. And again, it's at any one time. So as you're borrowing like operating money or you have annual operating loans, is if you pay it down to zero, you reestablish that you could borrow an additional 200, 300, 400,000, whatever that would look like, as long as the total of what you have borrowed for operating type loans from FSA would not be over the 400,000 or the maximum, whichever type of loan you were looking at. Okay, and interest rates. As we know, interest rates are the cost of borrowing money. So there is a little cost. We have very favorable interest rates with FSA, and our rates are updated monthly. So for farm loans that are approved or closed in September, you can see our operating loans are at 4.875%, and farm ownership loans would be at 5.875%. If you remember, I talked about our joint financing farm ownership loans, which that's where, say, FSA does up to 50% and another creditor does the other half. That's that special rate. So it's 2% less than our regular rate. So we'd be at 3.875. Similarly, when I talked about that special down payment program for beginning farmers and socially disadvantaged and veterans, we do 4% below the farm ownership loan rate for our share that we're doing for those 20 years. So that's at 1.875. And once these loans are closed, the interest rate is fixed for the life of the loan. So we have no variable interest rates at FSA. So I did want to talk a little bit about eligibility because depending on the type of loan you want, you will have to meet certain eligibility requirements. Different types of loans have different eligibility requirements. So this slide just lists a few of like general eligibility requirements. If you feel you do not meet any of these or you want to discuss further with a loan official, that's what I would suggest because every situation is different and every case is reviewed on the case-by-case basis. And applications may also be made by entities, so like cooperations, joint operations, partnerships, etc. And their members and stockholders must meet these same eligibility requirements. So the applicant must be the operator of a family farm or ranch after the loan is closed. Applicants must have an acceptable credit history demonstrated by debt repayment. However, no history of credit transactions by the applicant does not automatically indicate an unacceptable credit history. And as part of the credit history, the agency will determine whether the applicant has properly fulfilled its obligations to other parties, including other government agencies and FSA. Also, the applicant must be enabled to obtain sufficient credit elsewhere to finance actual needs at reasonable rates and terms. So keep that in mind. And the managerial ability can be shown to the agency through any combination of education, on the farm training, and on the job training and farm experience. And as I said, every application is evaluated on a case-by-case basis. The level of management ability required will depend on the complexity of the operation and the amount of the loan request. So I did want to share an additional eligibility requirement for our direct farm ownership loans. The applicant for farm ownership loan, and in the case of an entity, one or more members, okay, making the majority interest, must have participated in the business operations of a farm or ranch for at least 3 out of the last 10 years. And there are actually several experiences that can be substituted for up to 2 of those 3 years, such as 16 credit hours of post-secondary education in an ag-related field or successful repayment of one of those FSA finance youth loans we were talking about. And so you're going to want to discuss your situation with an FSA official, as there are several ways to meet this requirement. But the reason I like to bring it up when I'm talking to folks about our farm ownership loans is, remember I said like our youth loans into our microloan program, right? Our microloan for beginning farmers at 50,000 or less is a really good place to get started, and even into our operating loans. So if it is that we need to help producers get some of their own history of operating their own farm or participating in those business operations of a farm, our direct operating loan may be a great place to start getting that history built up, so that when something comes up for land and want to make a purchase with our real estate notes, farm ownership loans, they would meet this eligibility requirement. So it's important to plan ahead, and again, to just sit down with your FSA loan official, talk about what you have, what do you want to do, what are goals, and be able to meet all of these eligibility requirements. So there are limitations on how many years you may receive a direct operating loan or farm ownership loan. For instance, an applicant for farm operating loans may close operating loans in no more than 7 calendar years. It does not have to be consecutive years, and there's no limit on the number of operating loans closed in a year. You could do an operating loan in 1 year that you need for annual operating. Remember, you need to do feed and vet bill, but that year you also wanted to expand your herd and buy 50 cows. Those 2 operating loans closed in 1 year will use just 1 year of eligibility. And the good news is those microloans I was talking about, made to beginning farmers or veteran farmer, are not counted towards the limitation. Youth loans are not counted toward that limitation either. So again, really good places to start. And then the maximum number of years a beginning farmer may receive operating loan assistance is 10 years. They're going to get 10 years instead of 7, because beginning farmers, remember I said that's someone who's farmed or ranch less than 10 years. So again, your FSA loan official explain the time limits and term limits that we have with you in detail. It's important to just go through that as you're visiting with them. So I keep talking about your loan official, your FSA loan official. And so I think it's important. I wanted to kind of get you prepared for what that first meeting might look like. Use these questions to start thinking about your business plan, because these are the types of questions that you'll have, right? You'll want to be able to answer when you meet with your loan official or even another lender, whoever that is, when you're applying for a loan. So you can see that. What does your operation look like? What do you have, or what do you want to have? Be able to identify some resources that you have or that you need. And then how are you going to market your products? When are they going to be sold? Who are they going to be sold to? And then, of course, goals. We really want to talk about short and long-term goals for your operation, especially, like I said, if the short term is to get started and the long term is to expand and add additional real estate or add additional acres to your operation. So how do we do that with the programs? How can ours fit into what you're doing? And then we'd say, okay, start with operating, and then we need to possibly use our farm ownership loans, and just what those goals look like for you. And then finally, your income and expenses. And that's just getting down to the numbers, that cash flow budget. If you can start having some things prepared, we're happy to help with them. Or if you get technical assistance from, great folks like this organization, helping to start put some of those numbers together in your projections, those are some good things to have available and ready for you when you're going to meet with a loan official. So then actually preparing for to submit an application, right? All of our farm loan will require the same basic information, and then your loan official is going to advise if there's additional information needed. For instance, if your request is to buy pasture, then a signed purchase agreement would be required. And so it would just depend on what your request is for. And you may apply in person or online with our loan application tool, which is right here. We've got some great online farm loan tools. FSA has had a significant initiative underway to streamline and automate farm loan program customer facing business processes. And with this loan assistance tool, You producers can check eligibility for FSA farm loans, discover FSA loan products, and learn how to apply for that loan online or get instructions for the paper applications. And we're going to walk through that together shortly. It looks like we're going to have time, so I'm actually going to go into that online tool. In using this
Gail, can we
using,
pause for a
yep,
question?
yep.
Okay, this is going back to the loans. The question is, if a person applied for a 375,000 farm ownership loan, can they, and I assume it means approved, but can they also apply for a $65,000 operating loan since it's over the max, seems like?
Yes, yes. Oh, okay. So let me see if I can go back to that slide because that is a really good question. I'm so sorry to hear that. You're gonna have to go back. I want to bring that up because I think it's important to go through. Here's my, sorry, I'm getting there. One more. Okay, so yeah, really good question. So again, these loan programs we have, so the farm ownership is a type, it has a separate 600,000. So the 375,000 they were borrowing through the farm ownership loan, so it must have been, let's say, to purchase pasture or some crop land, tillable land, falls under that. You can also borrow up to an additional 400,000 under the operating loan purposes. So yes, the 375 and 65,000, you're right on your math. Those are over 400,000, but they are coming from two different types. One is the FO, one is the OL, and each of them have their own limitations. So that's a really good question. And I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that really good. Does that answer the question? Hope makes more sense.
Yep. If that answered the question, if you could just put a thumbs up in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll
that
have a follow-up question if it's
Yeah,
not clear,
please,
but
please do, because those are the things. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to this, but I thought it was helpful to have. Sorry, let me get back to my screen. Yeah, that is really good. I know we've got so many different caveats and stuff we're running through today. I'm just throwing this out there. Of course, always encourage you to visit with your local loan official to just go in and say, hey, can I just come and sit at the desk with you and talk about what we've got going on, what we think, what we want to do out here on our farmer ranch, and then they'll be able to talk through these sorts of things we're talking about. It's like, oh, that sounds like it's going to fall under our operating loan program. How much do you need? And then work through that individually. Um, but what I hope today with some of these things that you'll have just like general information and realize that there's some great, great opportunities out there to use these lower interest loans to help finance your operation. And as we talk about these online tools, so these are different ones you can talk about, like the online. We're going to click on some of these, a loan assistance tool here in the next couple slides. I'll take you right there. The online loan application, really, really a slick process. So folks don't have to be worried about an 8 to 5 time during Monday through Friday to come in our office. They're able to do that anytime and get a loan application submitted and then track their progress of it as well. Also have a pay my loan tool. So if you have loans with FSA, we have the ability where you can go online, similar to other organizations and entities out there, and make a payment. Of course, we always like to see you in the office, and that's great too. We like to have that connection, but it's important that you can have public facing tools ready for you at your fingertips and really streamlining that process where you could pay right online. And then lastly, the debt consolidation tool. You actually enter like your current farm operating debt in there, and it will evaluate the savings for you if you were to apply for one of these, a debt consolidation loan, essentially from FSA. And that would be with our operating loan, because our real estate loans, those direct farm ownership loans, cannot be used for refinancing. It has to be a new purchase. But our operating type loans, that 400,000 limitation, could be used to consolidate your farm operating type debt if needed. And it would show if you would benefit from like having more favorable payment and a lower rate or reduced payments if you did just one larger loan. So really some good opportunities there. And now I'm hopeful.
Gail, before
Oh,
we move on, there's another
yeah,
question.
yeah.
You probably have to go back to your FO loan.
Okay.
The question is, can you expand a little bit more on the 3 out of the last 10 years for the FO loan?
Yes. So So with eligibility for a farm ownership loan, okay, this is not for operating loans like paying your vet bills and cash rent and feed or buying cows. This is for the real estate loan to purchase land or a headquarters unit, right? It might not be bare ground. It might be a farm site or a ranch site that has buildings or a place where you're going to calve and or machine storage, and that's where you're going to headquarter. Those have a requirement for that minimum of 3 years. The the other two of those 3 years could be substituted with something else, such as military experience. If you were in the military, there's a whole long list of them. If you have 16 credit hours in an ag-related field, for instance, you went to a 2-year college and have an ag degree, or me, for instance, I have an ag business degree from South Dakota State, that can be substituted for one of those years. You might have something else that could be substituted for the second year, the youth loan that was paid back. Maybe you had that. We have some ways, but then what it does is you really need to essentially, no matter what, have that minimum of a 1 year, right? If you can find ways for those other couple years to be substituted in or requirement met by virtue of a long list. So that's why I say it's important to just bring your scenario into the office to your loan official. But we still need to get that 1 year of significant participations in a farm or ranch. And so that may look different for different people. But essentially, most of the time, what we might find is that it's folks that are starting out and maybe they went ahead and were able to buy 20 cows, say if it's like a beginning farmer and they were running them with family's operation to start getting their own history. They were making their own payments and paying expenses on them. And then maybe FSA was used for that. So that's why I say it's good to plan ahead because as of today, that's what the requirements are. Even when we're talking beginning farmers, we at this point in time, as of today, September 11, 2025, that's how it's written in there to meet the farm experience requirement. So good question. There's always lots of questions about that. Again, always happy to talk after the fact or connect you with a loan official too, so we can always see if we can find ways to help you meet those requirements and get these loans done. That's what we would want to do. So I'm glad that we have some options with substituting a few of those years. So maybe you don't have to have the full 3 years operating, but we would need that one at least. Sound good?
I think we're good, Gail. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so since I'm found the time here, I think we'll have a time. I want to show one tool first before we talk about our farm storage facility loans, because it's a one we've been talking about that I think I have it pulled up already. I'm going to hope this is, are you seeing my website on your screen?
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I did, and you'll see this a lot throughout here, this farmers.gov. Okay, great place to go. All things farm production conservation. I mentioned it in part 1. You're hearing it in part 2 today. But I want to show you how you can find things on there. And I don't know if you are like on a phone or also have a laptop, if you have two things and you want to walk through this with me, that would be a great idea as well. You're happy to do that, or I can walk it through with you in another time. But as you go to here, so the first one was the loan. This is where you can find things, okay? These farmers.gov tools. The farm loan assistance tool is the one I was talking about that can get you ready to apply. So if you have questions or you get done tonight and you're thinking, boy, what was that Gail talking about? And by walking through this, you right here take the farm loan quiz. And then it has different things based on what but this is where you start. I'm interested in learning more about our loans and eligibility requirements. And so, yeah, I have this up on another screen. So I wonder why I'm looking up. I have several monitors, but I'm going to go through this with you just to show you a little bit of how you can walk through it. So here you are. You get to the welcome page. And then we're just going to say, yeah, take farm loan quiz. None of this is being saved, right? You haven't seen me enter my name. Nowhere did I put Gail Gullickson. I haven't put any personal information yet. So this is one of those safe places you can just go and you can keep answering and using this tool. So it says, just before we start, we answer some questions. Are you legally competent to enter into the agreement? So yeah, we have authority to enter in the agreement. I can. So I'm going to say yes, save and continue. We'll just do a few of these. Are you participating in a youth educational farming program? Oh, so if we say yes, then it's going to take us to the youth loans, right? Based on your answers, we match that you may be fit for the FSA youth loan, but just by answering those two questions. And then it brings it down to the information we talked about today. And then here it has how the application process goes, right? Set up a meeting, collect the information, we review the application, and kind of walks you through the whole step. If you want help with the forms, look at here. You can access the forms, and forms can only be saved to your computer, but here's the actual youth loan application. You can download it. Another one, if you have questions, contact, and away you go. Is it? I mean, I just love how it's right at your fingertips. Well, let's go back and pretend we are not doing the youth loan track. So I'll get back here. Oh, I take the farm loan quiz again. You can do this over and over. It's not, oh, results. I'm going to have to maybe refresh. I got another one open. I got a few open here. We'll go just to make sure we get through this, and then we'll share a few more things and we'll show a few more tools. How's that sound? Oh, it's like, I have to refresh it. Remembers what I had for results in there. Let me open a new one. Gail, start over. How's that sound? We'll do a farmers.gov and we'll find the. Okay, so remember, it's all on this main page. Is great stuff to find. Hopefully we're going to get through a few more of these, but let's do the farm loan assistance tool. Hope it doesn't remember my answers. We're going to take the quiz. Okay. I didn't realize. Let me, oh, right here. I see it. I found the back button. Oh, I found, right. Sorry, I missed that right up here. Do you see where my hand is? Then I can keep going back. So now I'm going to say no, save and continue. Okay, are you able to obtain financing elsewhere? And I'm going to say no. Right now, I've been in contact with the local ag lender, but it sounds like they recommend you work with FSA. But remember, maybe we can offer some lower interest rate and better terms to help with your cash flow. And so we're going to say, able to get financing elsewhere? No, I'm not. Save and continue. And then here's where you talk about what kind of assistance that you need. That's why it's called the loan assistance tool. Well, yeah, we need to get some more cows bought. So we need help with livestock. Let's just go with that. Also, remember I said assistance like want to buy or, expand your farm. But I'm just going to think we need to purchase some more cattle. Are you an existing loan borrower trying to obtain another loan? Because remember, when we talked about those limitations, we got that 400,000 total. So you can have a combination. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 operating loans outstanding if they don't go over that. So I'm going to say, no, I'm not. Save. And I want to apply for an amount. Remember, we got our 50,000 or less. So I'm like, I think we're going to need like 100,000. The price of cows right now, we want to add some cows. It's going to be over 50 and between there and that 400,000. Have you spent at least 3 of the last 10 years gaining farm experience? And I'm going to say yes. We've been doing that, and we are not a nonprofit entity. They're not eligible to receive it, nonprofit. So I do not operate a nonprofit. And I do provide a majority of day-to-day labor. It can be a joint operation with assistance of family members, whether it's myself or my spouse. And so I'm going to say, yes, we are the ones that are making those farm decisions. We're out there doing chores and we're giving shots and making determinations and baling the hay. And we fall under one of those categories. U.S. citizen, no drug convictions, no crop insurance conviction, federal crop insurance violations. And we've been making our payments on time. So yeah, think we've got a good credit history. So let's say yes. Not delinquent on any federal debts. We don't have any of those outstanding. So we'll say no. No debt forgiveness from FSA. We hadn't been a borrower before. Term limits. Remember, I talked a little bit about there's a certain number of years that We can make new loans, and that's just because we want to be temporary. We want to get you to a good financial point that you can get other credit, and then we help the next borrower. So we'll just say, have you had any outstanding exceeded the term limits? No, because remember, we're brand new borrowers. And now if we scroll down, it's like, oh, it's telling us about our operating loans. Here's the different ones we talked about. An annual operating loan, that would be if we had to buy some feed for the cows. The term operating loan to buy the cows, we can go up to that 400,000. And then again, it reviews the process. But if I scroll down, it's going to get me a checklist. I like that. A loan readiness checklist helps those things we talked about when I was trying to get you ready for the meeting. This would be really helpful as well. So you're prepared and ready to go in, whether it's FSA or your other loan official. You can apply right here online, actually hit the button and be ready to submit it, where you can upload financials. You can pay your credit report online, doing credit report fee and some of those. Otherwise, we don't have actual application fees. So you wouldn't have any of those. But if you want to find your local service center to talk with those loan officials in person, which I highly recommend, I think it's great to start that relationship with your local office. And then if you want to download or print it, you certainly can do that as well. So I know that was kind of quick, but I wanted to just show you how easily you can change it up. And again, it's by using this back arrow back here if you want to change your answers. But if there are any questions on that, I might pop back to the PowerPoint. Some of that kind of makes sense walking through our loan assistance tool.
I think so, Gail, and I don't see any questions,
Okay.
but any folks have their hand raised, if you could just put your question in the Q&A or the chat box, we'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. So, and this green you're seeing is just where I should have clicked one more, but that was what we were looking for, right? Where we were just able to go live and kind of walk through that. And it's all available on the farmers.gov. So I've got a few minutes left. I do want to talk about the farm storage facility loan, and if we can show a disaster tool online, a disaster recovery assistance tool. But if not, I'm happy though right now, quick, to answer any farm loan program questions. We've covered a lot of information, right? And like how you're going to use our loan programs to start or grow your operation. And then we talked about some available things online too. So are there any other questions before I move into the farm storage facility loan program?
Yep, just what is the timeline for a typical loan application?
Oh, yeah, real good question. So once we have a complete application, there's what we would call, we'd have some notification if you needed to provide additional information. Maybe we were missing some information. All the time, you're always going to be notified in writing, and a phone call hopefully as well from your local office. And then we continue to process the application, but it's a 60-day time frame. I always say typically it could be less, but it depends all on the amount of applications in that local office. The turnaround time might be much quicker, depending on the time of the year, the number of applications they have on hand. So I can't speak specifically. It might be a week or two if you have a lot of your good information put together. That's why I encourage you to kind of do your homework a little bit too, and we're happy to help with it. But if you go through those things I kind of talked about, that would be good to have, and you've got your information when you submit it, it makes it so much easier for us and loan officials to work through that. But that's a good question. Working through the application, you are notified, you're kept informed of where the application process is at, and then we would hope to, from the date of completion, to have that 60-day determination made to you, or less than 60 days. Yep, good
Yep.
question. I should have had
One
that in
more,
there for you.
Gail.
Mhm.
Is there a checklist that goes with the eligibility of things that they should bring with them when they're applying?
Oh, so yes, there is that readiness checklist. Otherwise, when you actually reach out to your local office and get what we call like an application packet or an application folder, they could walk through it and have the information of what they would be looking for you based on what you're applying for. Similar to what we did on those questions online, right? Like if it's an operating type loan, bring these things. Again, like I mentioned, if you're buying pasture, you're going to need a signed purchase agreement. So yeah, that would be something locally, and depending on what your operation or what you request was going to be, we'd be able to provide like some lists, some checklists to say, here, these are the things we're looking for. Yeah. And then keep you posted if we get the application and go, oh, we also need this, then we share that with you as well and communicate. Yeah. So we good communication with the loan officer and yourself of what's needed. But that would be really helpful if you go through a loan assistance tool or something similar, or reach out, even just emailing your office and asking them to send you the application form. And it's really good. Our application form itself, so this 2001 form, that's the application, is for like all of the different types of application, whether you're applying for operating loan or farm ownership loan. It has the same basic application. And then it has information on there that what you would submit as well, like walks you all through it. And we used to have like about 30 some pages of application information, and we've condensed it down to one document that's like 13 pages. So once you get that application, the 2001, in fact, what I could probably do here is when we get done, I'll see if I can share that with you, Dawn, and have you upload it into the chat, the actual application form. And then, yeah, that's a really great place to start and provide information, and you answer questions on there, and it will help you with what's needed to be provided to FSA.
Okay, one more question.
Okay.
What's the biggest difference from the micro loan and operating loan besides the amount?
So also collateral requirements, the microloan, if it's a term microloan, like to purchase cows or equipment, it has less of a security and collateral requirement than if it's over 50,000. And just more streamlined. We aren't looking for 3 years of history and things like that. So the 50,000, and it could be 10,000. You don't have to just do 50,000. You could, in fact, like when I said, when our sons were in the program, they were doing maybe a 5,000 or a 10,000 and adding one, and then you can keep adding. If you already owed us 50,000 and you borrowed another 50,000, that second loan would not be considered a microloan anymore, because your total debt to FSA would be over 50,000. But there are definitely some advantages. Another advantage actually is the interest rate. I don't know if you remember on the interest rate slide, a microloan interest rate to a beginning farmer is fixed at 5%. So we had situations where our interest rates for operating loans were higher than 5%. And so beginning farmers actually got that lower amount if they were getting a microloan, because that rate's 5%. So definite advantages there. If you are smaller, beginning or starting or unsure, I always like to look at that microloan program just for some of those benefits. But certainly, and it's a stepping stone. You may not even have that long and realize that your ranch or your operation and farming operation is gone outside the scope of that, and that's okay. Then we just loan additional, and we continue to keep helping you, but with different loans or operating loans, just not under the microloan program. So good question. Anything
Thanks.
else?
Nope, that's it for now. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. I just got a few slides here I want to share quick on our farm storage facility loans, because this is another financing operation from FSA. And so the FSFLs provide low interest financing to producers to store, handle, and or transport eligible commodities they produce. So keep that in mind. It has to be something that is produced, a commodity produced by the producer themselves, not something that they would go out and purchase and need to store. Loans can be used to build or upgrade permanent and portable storage facilities and equipment. And then eligible commodities include commodities like grains, rye, hay, hemp, honey, fruits and vegetables, floriculture, milk, cheese, eggs, and meat and poultry, like unprocessed meat and poultry. I've got some examples here on the screen. Eligible facility types include the grain bins, hay barns, bulk tanks, and facilities for cold storage. Drying and handling storage equipment is also eligible, including storage and handling trucks. So for example, a refrigerated truck to haul your vegetables to the farmer's market or to like a local grocery store. We've done those before. Eligible facilities and equipment may be new or used, permanently affixed, or portable. And these types of new and used facilities and upgrades must have a useful life for at least the term of the loan. And I just wanted to note that facilities built for commercial purposes and not for the sole use of the borrower are not eligible for financing. A producer may borrow up to $500,000 per loan with a minimum down payment of 15%. Loan terms are up to 12 years, depending on the amount of the loan. And then producers must demonstrate storage needs based on 3 years of production history. Because remember, again, I said this is the commodities that you produce. And then applications for all loans will have that $100 non-refundable application fee. Producers who select the microloan option. So see, we also have a microloan option under the farm storage facility loan program. So we had our farm loan microloans, and this is the farm storage facility loan microloan, and they can borrow up to $50,000. The minimum down payment is reduced to 5% versus that 15% for regular FSFL, and then shorter loan terms too. Producers can self-certify to the storage needs of the eligible commodity they're producing and are not required to demonstrate storage needs based on production. So that 3-year production history requirement has been waived for microloan applications. Here's the interest rates. Again, it's a cost of borrowing money. So they're separate interest rates for this program, and they are updated monthly and will be different for the 3, 5, 7, 10, and 12-year terms. The interest rates for FSFL are the rates in effect during the month of the loan approval and will be in effect for the term of the loans. Rates are published on FSA's website, and they're posted in the county offices too. The loan terms are up to 12 years for FSFL, and applicants may select the term on the application based on the amount requested. You see there's some options here, and you'll see the terms for the FSFL. Microloans down here are shorter and shall have a maximum of 3, 5, or 7 years for new, and then just 3 or 5 years for used storage structures, equipment, and storage and handling trucks. One thing I wanted to note is just really important to remember to visit with your county service center on the environmental evaluation requirements when you're planning to utilize the FSFL program, because the FSFL loans cannot be approved prior to that environmental evaluation being done. That needs to be completed, and all loan requests are subject to an environmental evaluation. So accepting delivery of equipment, starting any of your site prep or construction before the loan approval may impede the successful completion of environmental evaluation and may adversely affect loan eligibility. In other words, you may not be able to get an FSFL for that project. Any questions on this? We've got a few minutes left, and I thought I'll show a few more online tools and answer questions. I'm happy to stay on too as well, but I want to be mindful of your all's time. Any questions on this program, Farm Storage Facility Loan? And it's not just a grain bin program anymore, as it sounds like for farm storage. Be hay storage, hay sheds, walk-in coolers that are needed, refrigerated trucks, lots of options. Sorting bins if you're fruits and vegetables. So it's fun. I enjoy telling about that program. And you can do both. They're totally separate limitations. It's not connected to the FSA Farm Loan Program. You could be participating in both.
I don't see any questions yet, Gail. I think you did a very thorough job.
Awesome. Well, if they think of something, they can put it in the chat. So here I love to show, if you remember when we went to farmers.gov, we had like all these online tools. And so I want to show you a few more, if that's okay, and just pop in with questions. So I'm going to get hopefully this is working in just a second here. You'll see. Okay, online tools. Okay, so when we went to farmers.gov, I'll scroll down and just show you again. This main page, if you do the farmers.gov and scroll right in here, these are the tools. So we did the loan assistance tool. You could create an actual account if you want to be able to pay your farm loan online, e-sign documents, different secure things that go on. You can create an account. It's all secure. Here's where we did the loan assistance tool. You can apply for your loan. Local dashboard is cool. If we have time, I'll show you. It's just about county information. But I also wanted to show you 2 more things, the disaster recovery, disaster assistance discovery tool. And then I do want to go to another one, information on how to start a farm operation. Great details there too. So again, all we're going to be doing is walking through a process. Again, we will not, and this part, have to enter any personal information in there. So you're free to just go in and answer questions. So did you suffer a loss or damage? I'm going to say, yes, I did. Okay, what was it from? So we'll just say, let's do drought. And we could answer several things. In South Dakota, we'd probably be answering lots of blizzards, ice storms, winter storms, this folks up here. But there's different things here. Look, even animal attack, different things that would happen planet fish. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to stick with drought over the last few years. This year, not so much, but that's been applicable. What did the disaster impact? Well, certainly with our livestock, right? We didn't have enough feed for our cows. We were hauling water. Some of those sorts of things is what we were looking at. Crops grown for livestock. You can check as many or as few as these want, but yeah, we were raising corn. Now it's kind of silage time around here. So let's say we didn't get much and feed losses. Can do a few, so you can check a few. Lands, our croplands, our crops were dried up. What else did it affect? Yeah, that's about it. And so we'll say next. And where did it occur? When did it occur? So we'll say last year. You can even go back for last year and a month. So boy, by August, and we were really dry. Is it thinking? It didn't not work. Step 5 where? Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I had to do I had to do a state. Sorry, I missed that. And I'm gonna just say I'm gonna pick Fall River if I can find F because I know out there they were dry. We're in the other side of the state, but I'm gonna click. Okay, so here's some of the assistance that might be available. Emergency livestock. We talked about these programs. If you were on part 1, we covered these as well. So you can find out more about them and go, oh, if these are available in my area, and then prepare for the visit. We talked about that too. What might we need, right? You need some inventory, livestock. What would you bring in? Documentation of losses. So I like right here, it's helping you kind of walk through that. You can always call and talk to your local officer, and we're happy to tell you what we're looking for. But just keep this in mind. These are places where you can check in like, oh, here, right here in Hot Springs, South Dakota is where the service center. I can contact Carrie. I can email her or give them a call and get what I need. Also NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, shows up on there. If you have anything for Risk Management Agency. And oh, I want to start over. I'm going to answer some. All entries will be removed. Maybe the winter storm comes and you're trying to figure out what might be available in your area. You can go through it again. Okay, so then that's that one. And there's some things on there you could use. But then this last couple slides here before we hit the top of the hour. This is another place I want to go in here and show you this one. I think this is great, especially for young producers or new producers. Does not matter age too if you're again beginning farmers. So this is our new farmers page, or you just have to go under your business and farmers.gov, you find the new farmers page and you scroll down, look again at all these things. Like if you need to plan and build your business, it'll click on these links. This one's really good. Remember I said one of the things that's good to have like your business planning when you're going to go in the office. This walks you right through it. And so you can like build your plan. How can we help? But I'm going to keep scrolling, excuse me, and show you different things that you would want to open up. It answers the questions. So if you can start working through some of this, what products you produce, what's the size, what's your experience, and open all these little boxes, and then you can get help, or we have worksheets. If you need conservation and risk management planning, other things for business, maybe you're into organic or value added, there's more there. Historically underserved, additional business plan resources, training opportunities. And so, like I said, there's so much. And again, we're right here. Anywhere you go, you can click on one of these. You want to visit, looking for financing, build, selling your product. There's some connections there, and maintaining, keeping good records. And then what do we do to take care of your farm operation? Okay, so I want to show you that. And let me get that out of the way. And then I already clicked on the discovery tool. So we already did that one. Last few things there. If you want to get started, or if you're looking for online help or where to find a local service center, you can go to farmers.gov and do the locator, or guess what? You can always reach out to me. So as we wrap up part 2, are there any more questions? And I just want to say I've shared my contact information here, so please reach out should you need additional information or specific programs. And I've just honored, very much appreciated the opportunity to share some great FSA loan opportunities with you today. So thank you.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks for sharing all the tools too. There was one question that I overlooked, and it was, is there an application fee for underserved borrowers?
No, no, we do not have an application fee at all for any of our applications. The fees we would have would be a credit report fee, which is very minimal. And then that's only filed at the time of the application. And then we may have some filing fees if we were to perfect our security interests with Secretary of State. And each state would be different for those, but those are minimal charges that we don't pay until or request checks for until the loan is closed. And then if we get into real estate, there may be some additional fees that are associated with the title work process, right? Where they're working on the deed and the title of the land. And those will be communicated with you from your loan official. And there is no other for the actual farm loans. There's not an application fee like the farm storage facility loan I mentioned has the $100 non-refundable fee because they use that as well to file those liens and all of that. So there's a $100 fee for farm storage. There is not an application fee for farm loans.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't want to miss out on that
No,
question.
no, that's a good question, right? Because many times other entities may have loan applications fees. That is something that is different with our agency and USDA. We're the People's Department, so this is your agency. All this is your funding, your programs that we want to make sure that producers are able to use these and utilize these to really like, start and expand and grow and be profitable, have a profitable ag operation.
All right. Well, thanks, Gail. All of that information was extremely helpful. We had a lot of questions, and thank you everybody for attending. We are just a little bit over the hour, so thanks for spending your lunch hour with us. This is going to be recorded. It will be on our website in our website recording library, so you can watch it at any time. Gail's information is here on the screen. You can reach out to me anytime to connect you as well if you have any other further questions. But yeah, thank you for your time and have a good rest of the day, everybody.